Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to talk to you guys about a subject that I've seen kind of floating around on Facebook groups, kind of in talks at conventions. And it's the talk that South Africa has hurt the hunting industry or hurt the safari, the classic safari. And I'm going to talk to you guys about my perspective. This is only my point of view of it. Everyone else has their own point, but this is my point of view. I want to say yes and no. It has affected the classic safari, and it also has helped the hunting industry in Africa extremely. So saying that, a lot of people are saying, with all the game farming, there's a lot of high fence hunting in South Africa, a lot of the game breeding where they're coming up with different color variations and so on and so forth. A lot of people are saying it's hurt the safari industry. They're saying that it's taken away from the true classic safari. And guys, yes, I believe it has in a sense, because there is a number of outfitters that I think are doing things wrong, doing them poorly. They're just running clients through. I've talked to a guy on WhatsApp today about it, because we talk about, there's outfitters that have safari operations that they're running 400 or 500 clients through a year, which that's a lot of clients. Yes, that's a lot of money for the outfitter, but in a way it's hurting the South Africa industry. And let me explain to you my side of this part. When you guys are running that many clients through, and when you're running that many people through at a time, it's not my group, it's my group of people plus, there's probably 20 to 30 people in camp at one time. You're taking away from the true safari aspect of things. You're taking away from my experience. And I believe this because I've done 15 different safaris throughout all of Africa: Ethiopia, Cameroon, Tanzania, Zambia, Namibia, South Africa. I've learned a lot. And the whole part of Africa is the experience of it. It's not about the number of species you take. And that's how it should be everywhere in the world. Even here in North America. It should be about the experience you had, the adventures had on the safari or the hunt. And I think the way it's happening at these camps that are running massive numbers through, you're really degrading the value of your own hunts, because it goes back to my show special rant. Most of these guys that are actually doing these massive groups of hunters throughout the year, their prices are extremely low. That's how they're getting so many people. That's how they're doing it. They're offering packages for $5,000, $7,000 for a lot of different species, and they're hoping people, one, will upgrade while they're there, but they're doing the low numbers because they can fit so many people in at once to bring the value up, or their income up. The value is really not there. And I think that's wrong, because you guys are actually hurting everyone else that's doing things, kind of a one-on-one experience, and they're offering the same hunt for 10 grand that you're offering for 5 grand. And everyone's like, well, why is Jimmy cheaper than Adam, or why is Jimmy cheaper than Michael? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it devalues everyone. It hurts the industry as a whole, and it's like my rant I did on the show specials. You guys shouldn't be trying to decrease the cost of your hunt. You should be trying to increase the value. Keeping things the same, because I know you're going to knock off a lot of money to do those show specials. Add value by adding the camera guy, adding the dip and pack into it. By adding things into your hunts, you're creating a bigger value and a more better experience for people. And the thing is, the mom and pop guys that are doing, one-on-one safaris with just me, or if I take a group of people over, it's just my group in camp. The thing about that is the experience is much richer. Everyone involved is going to have a better experience. Even you as the operator, you're going to have the better experience. You're going to have a better quality of time with those clients, instead of trying to manage the 20, 30 people in camp at a time. That is, to me, that's insane to do. There's very few operations even here in North America that do different groups of people all at once in camp. Because it's not a sustainable model. It's not a real great model, because I would like to do a survey with these outfitters that are running mass amounts of people through. How many repeat clients are you getting out of this deal? How many referrals are you getting out of this deal? Now, there is going to be a lot of referrals because of the price. It's dropped down so low that they're going to refer all their friends because it was cheap. I've had an experience with a buddy of mine here that lives in Wyoming. He has an outfitting operation for mule deer and elk, and he was at a trade show marketing somewhere, and a guy from South Africa came up to him and said, hey, let's do a trade. And they traded an elk hunt for a plains game hunt. Well, my buddy here in the States, every time, and he probably does this a lot when I'm not around, but when I'm in groups with him, and we're chatting either at camp, because I've guided for him before, and we've done construction work and just hung out, but we'll be talking and he'll be like, oh, don't ever go to Africa, it's junk, it's horrible. He hated it because the value that he got out of it. The guy that traded him the hunt traded him the value. It's so low, and they were hunting such small properties, it wasn't enjoyable, like he just hated it. But he's not going to refer anyone to Africa, period, because of that experience. And what I'm getting at is, even though you're given such a great cost value, either they're going to share that with their buddies, or they're going to go home and say, well, that was not what I expected to experience. That's not what I seen on TV or read about in books. And the thing is the classic safari is almost all but gone, essentially just because modern time. You know, air travel is so much quicker. People have jobs that they can't be away from 14 days is a long time away from work, 21 days is an extremely long time, and then the big safaris that Roosevelt and those guys did are almost impossible time-wise for people. Even if they were possible from jumping from country to country, it's almost impossible for most people these days to be able to afford being gone away from home that long. The true safari, it is expensive, but there's a value to that to me. Zimbabwe is like the middle ground, as I've talked to on other podcasts. It's like the middle ground between cost and experience. It's not as expensive as countries such as Zambia and Tanzania and Uganda and stuff like that. And you still get the good experience. It's not as remote as some parts of Tanzania, or even going to the forest of Cameroon for bongo, or Lord Derby Eland in the savannah. But there's the value to that, and there's other costs involved when you get outside of South Africa. It's, you're paying government fees on a higher thing. It's just, there's a lot more different costs involved. Charter flights to places that are so remote, so on and so forth. So I'm not dogging the South Africa guy that tries to make an affordable hunt. I think that's actually been best for the safari industry, because you're getting more people to see Africa as a value. To be able to say, well, elk hunts here in North America now, for a good trophy bull elk, now you're paying a minimum of $15,000, if not paying a minimum of $25,000, $30,000 for a really good quality elk hunts. And same with deer. I always say a 180 deer is minimum $20,000. Whether you're booking a quality unit or whatever it is, buying auction tags, it's gonna be $20,000. And then even if the guy's doing it himself, you're spending a lot of money scouting. You're spending a lot of money. A lot of guys are running trail cameras in states that allow it. You're spending a lot of money in batteries, fuel, all that stuff. It's an expensive deal. And so when you guys give a good value hunt in South Africa, I believe you guys are helping your industry out substantially. It's amazing the value you guys have brought. And plus, South Africa has a great conservation story, between a lot of the animals almost being wiped out of South Africa during the pioneering ages, and then after the rinderpest, you guys have brought back the value of the wildlife. And when the goats were overpopulated, like the goats' value was better than the wildlife, people were eradicating them from the ranches, and now it's kind of flopped. And so it's a really good story that you guys have done to bring species back, and then also bring land back that was not good for farming, was not good for something else, but you guys gave value to that land because you hunt on it. It's a great conservation story through wildlife and habitat through South Africa, and it's really, you guys should be proud of this. And the guys that are doing this correctly should be really proud of themselves for, continuing to contribute to that. And everyone's like, conservation, and I believe that's a great thing. But conservation isn't just always about the animals, It's about the habitat. And another way to look at it is look at the jobs that are provided. Look how many people have jobs throughout South Africa, whether it's trackers, skinners, cooks, camp people, dip and pack, taxidermy. There's charter companies where they have bag boys. Like, there's all sorts of different jobs that are created through the hunting industry in South Africa alone that wouldn't be available otherwise. And there's a lot of meat, given to people that need the meat. We donated stuff in South Africa before. There's a lot more game meat available for sale. It's just, the industry is so big between the breeding, the game meat, the hunting, the taxidermy, the dip and pack, all that stuff. The industry is a booming industry in a country that needs, money. And the cool thing is, it's not inside money. It's not rand to rand. It's US dollars to rand, different currencies coming to rand that are more than likely to have a higher value. So, it's just, the model you guys have built is amazing. I think it's been great. I want to give you guys some numbers here. And these numbers are older. Doing the research I can find, all these numbers are older from a survey done in 2015-16. So this is almost 10 years ago. But the annual money brought into South Africa through hunting was estimated to be $230 million. And then total, between other things besides the hunting, but brought in by hunters, it was like 321 million. With agricultural and manufacturing being the biggest industries benefited from the hunting, between farmland and goods produced such as dip and pack, taxidermy, shipping, trucks, the gear needed in camps, all that stuff has been beneficial through the hunting industry in South Africa alone. It also states that trophy hunting supported more than 17,000 jobs in the country of South Africa. And again, this is all studies back in 2015, 2016. It'd be really great to see the studies now, because I'm pretty sure they've risen, because there's a lot more, there's more operators in South Africa hunting now, more PHs. I believe there's more people going to South Africa now, because I do believe the industry has gotten stronger, in my opinion, through what I've read, seen on social media, and through trade shows. So that's giving you guys a little bit of facts of how important the hunting industry is in South Africa. Like, that is a very, very big industry for South Africa. Tourism, hunting, wildlife, agricultural, manufacturing, and jobs. I see a lot of guys bashing the whole breeding, the whole color variations. Yeah, sometimes I think it gets out of hand, and like I said, there's always a few bad oaks, no matter what industry you're in, that are going to put a bad light on things. But as a whole, I think it's a great idea, because again, you're bringing new people into Africa, and guys, South Africa is the starting point. People go to South Africa and do 1 or 2 safaris, whether they're wanting to get all the species in South Africa or not. They go there and they're like, okay, now I want to go experience more. Then they'll venture to Namibia, and then they'll kind of maybe move into Mozambique or go up to Zimbabwe, and then maybe tackle Zambia and Tanzania. Guys, South Africa is a starting point. It's the getting the feet wet in Africa for a lot of people. And I think it's such a great experience and opportunity that people are having. And like I said, there's a lot of high fence hunting in South Africa, but some of these high fence places are bigger than most free range areas here in North America. Like, you don't see the fence. And guys, fences are there for a reason. These animals are bought and paid for by the outfitters. The outfitters and the landowners own the wildlife. If here in America, if we own the elk on our property and it's a low fence, we wouldn't want them going out anyways, because that's our money. And then obviously you get species such as lion, buffalo, and elephant, and rhino that are in these areas. And you don't want them just being able to run out in the road, because that could be a severe issue. People walking, there's a lot, Africa, people walk everywhere, especially in remote parts of Africa, and wild Africa, people are always taken by lions, people are always getting ran, elephants and hippos and stuff like that. But in South Africa, where South Africa is more of a civilized country compared to a lot of other places, there's still people traveling on foot on these roads, and it turns into a real dangerous deal, for the people driving and people walking. So I don't disagree with the high fencing at all. I don't disagree with it at all. And it's a real big thing that I think people should just kind of take a check on. Because without a lot of this high fence stuff in South Africa, a lot of these species wouldn't be around. Even natural species that occurred in South Africa have been brought back and added value through the high fenced operations. And again, like I said, there's guys that run bad operations that have super small areas, are doing it all wrong, shooting at the back of the trucks. Those guys are doing it wrong. The guys that are running quality top operations, doing the correct stuff, is the guys that really need the pat on the back. And you guys should pat yourself on the back if you're doing it right, because you guys are helping the further of South Africa safaris. And again, remember, you guys, everyone should look at you as the starting point, because most people that have never been to Africa, they don't think, I'm going to go to Tanzania and do a 21-day safari, or I'm going to go to Cameroon and do a bongo hunt. Most people don't ever think of that. They start out in South Africa. So you guys are the starting point for everybody. Like the first 7-day plains game safari is what a lot of people are looking at. The first experience of that hunt. And South Africa is so big. You got so many different areas. You got KwaZulu-Natal. You got Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, Free State. You got all these amazing places all within one country to go and experience, and the diversity of game. And it's just amazing. You from the Eastern Cape to Limpopo is completely different game species, completely different habitat, completely different experiences. And I think a person can spend a long time in South Africa if he gets with the right outfitter and enjoys the experience going places. To me, I'm not a fan of bouncing from area to area with the same outfitter. I like to experience people that are, born and raised in those areas, have their home bases in those areas. But that's just my opinion, because I like to experience them. I like to experience different things. I like to go with new outfitters, because again, guys, you don't know the good outfitters or the bad outfitters if you only hunt with one outfitter all the time. You got to experience it all. And that's just another big thing for me is that people on social media think, okay, I've been with the same outfitter twice, I know everything about Africa. Guys, you know very little. You know very little. I've been with a bunch of different outfitters. I've went back to the same places, but I've never went from one area to the next or one country to the next with the same outfitter, because I like to experience where people are located and where it's from. But getting back to my original subject on the whole South Africa thing, I think everyone needs to take it with a grain of salt. Weigh the options, weigh the good and bad. I think the good outweighs the bad significantly in this opinion of mine. And I do believe that there's a reason that Africa hunting has stayed around and been so popular and continues to get popular is because of the game ranching in South Africa. But I do say, guys, if you are the outfitters that are doing these mass groups of hunters, not doing it correctly, running the super cheap deals, think twice, you know. Sure, you might be older and you might be thinking, well, it doesn't matter 20 years from now, but what if your kids want to run the operation? It won't be around 20 years from now if you guys keep doing this, because it's a race to the bottom. You'll run out of clients. Well, you'll dig a hole for yourselves in the long run. Start doing things properly. Maybe switch it up, you know. You can make the same amount of money you do with 100 clients with 10 correct clients, you know what I mean? Like, it's just do things properly, add to the experiences, make it a real memorable and enjoyable experience for everyone. That way they come back to you, they send more referrals to you. It's always good word of mouth instead of, ah, man, it was a super cheap safari, but I didn't really, you know, we shot everything out of the back of the truck and we saw 20 other people and it was just not that fun that way. You know, because that's a turnoff to me. You know, that's a turnoff to a lot of people, I think. But I think they still book with you guys just because you guys have that such low price. And again, that's you know, you're shooting yourself in the foot in the long run of things. So think of that. You know, think long term. Think about the future of your outfitting business. Think about the future of South Africa hunting. Think about the future of Africa hunting as a whole. And guys, that is my 2 cents on this whole topic. You know, we dive into a lot of different rants and topics and stuff. And I'll do some podcasts. I want to get some other guys on from South Africa, and I want to have them share their thoughts on this subject, share their opinions on this subject, because I think it's a great subject for people to think of, put in mind, and keep thinking about when they're booking their safaris. Okay, am I booking the cheap hunt to save money, or am I booking the cheap hunt to lower my experience value? That's what you guys as hunters should be looking for. You don't buy the cheaper car knowing you're going to be able to drive across country in it. You know what I mean? It's the same concept. You got to be able to look at the price value. You don't buy a cheaper house thinking it's going to last you 40 years. You know what I mean? It's just, there's always going to be flaws to buying things cheaper. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And I just want you guys to think before booking your safari. On the cheap end and outfitters, I want you to think before advertising your cheap packages, your cheap hunts, running 20 different clients at a time. Where are you losing value in your operation? Who is getting shafted on pay? Is it the trackers? Is it the properties that you're going to that you don't own personally? Is it the clients? Because in all aspects, I think everyone's getting shorted during these type of safaris. Even yourself personally. It might not be a shorting yourself up front. It might be a later short. And guys, just remember, South Africa has helped the hunting industry in Africa as a whole. And whether there's good or bad, the good always outweighs the bad in my opinion. So I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight, and I hope it maybe cleared some things up for you guys. And if it did, share it with a friend, share it with someone that you think loves to go to Africa, and especially share it with a friend that's been to Africa and has not liked his experience, because I think this can maybe get them working in their mind. Yeah, that was cheap, but this is what happened. Yeah, that he is correct. And maybe they'll decide to go back again and maybe spend a little extra money and book with a proper outfitter. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.